Joining me on this India First special broadcast is Ambassador Veena Sikri, former Indian High Commissioner to Dhaka. Incidentally, Ambassador Sikri was our High Commissioner to Dhaka in the 2001 to 6 BNP government of Begum Khalida Zia. So it's after 20 years that BNP is in power once again. Mohibul Hasan Chowdhury is former Education Minister of Bangladesh, Organizing Secretary of the Bangladesh Awami League. Sir, welcome. Lieutenant General Syed Ata Hasnain is former Kashmir Corps commander, but he's someone who is studying the border issue very closely. Joins us on the show. General, welcome. Dr. Tarique Rahman is former Director of India's National Security Council Secretariat. Ma'am, welcome. Major Muhammad Zaman is a Bangladeshi analyst, joins us on the show. I want to welcome all our guests and I want your thoughts on this election result and what has just been said by the BNP. Ambassador Sikri, big win for BNP. You were High Commissioner when the BNP government was last in power between 2001 and 6. Will BNP returning to power 20 years later in 2026 be better news for India compared to then? How do you decode this election result and what has just been said, ma'am?
I think it's a great start, and I must draw this sharp contrast between the BNP Jamaat Alliance government between 2001 and 2006 when I was there, and what we're seeing today as a BNP standalone government with two-thirds majority in parliament. Our biggest issue at that time, 2001, 2006, were the security issues. And we saw at that time, number one, Pakistan was very active in Bangladesh at that time, and even Pakistan, army officers were sort of really Bangladesh army officers were under the awe of Pakistan and their promotions had to be cleared and so on. But we saw more than that, that the Indian insurgent groups from Northeast India were being given space in Bangladesh. And they were coming there, they have homes there, businesses there, doing their terrorism in India and coming here. And we were constantly raising objections on that, but with no response. Now I see a very different aspect. And I do see that, and we do know that during the 15 years of Sheikh Hasina, Awami League government under Sheikh Hasina, India's security lines were fully respected. And that is what opened the doors for the full economic cooperation between India and Bangladesh in the last 15 years, which gave Bangladesh 6.5% growth rate, and they grew steadily and were out of the least developed countries category. Now, with Tariq Rahman becoming Prime Minister day after tomorrow, I think it's once again a time we are seeing from him great interest in positively reviving India-Bangladesh relations and rescuing them from the doldrums of the last 18 months, where they have really dissented because Muhammad Yunus and Jamaat-e-Islami had no interest whatsoever in developing India-Bangladesh relations. Now,
but will there remain? Will Professor Muhammad Yunus continue to impact the politics of that region? And I'll come to that question in just a moment. Mohibul Hasan Chowdhury, Awami League was banned. Just now BNP says all bans will be lifted. Symbolically, the lock was broken from an Awami League office. You think this is a new dawn, or is there merit in Sheikh Hasina saying that these elections were a farce?
The elections were a farce because a major section of our electorates were disenfranchised. From that point of view, of course, it was a farce. And also the first part, which was the referendum, people weren't really clear on what they were voting for. The entire state was deployed to canvass for the yes campaign. So in that sense, of course, the election was a farce. However, there is a sense of relief in Bangladesh and also sense of relief in the political stakeholders that the words that we hear from those who have been elected are little encouraging than in the past. Tariq Rahman and his cohorts have burned their hands once by siding with the inter-services intelligence of Pakistan between 2001 and 6 by giving safe haven to anti-India elements within Bangladesh, and that had a consequence within the country that led to increased militancy, terrorism, and so on and so forth. So if they have learned from the past, and those actions had led to 15 years of absence from governing Bangladesh. And I hope that the regime that is coming will realize that they're coming with a very weak mandate in that a large section of the electorates are disenfranchised. But if they are to
So let me
continue
get General Hasnain. So
sustainably,
let's take this point by point and I'll come to referendum in just a moment. For the moment, I want to just decode the results and what it means for Bangladesh and for India from the security point of view. General Hasnain, the last BNP government saw massive spike in tensions along the borders, terrorism in Assam, ISI playing a key role in Dhaka. Do you think the words that are coming out of Dhaka right now, 2026 or post-2026, the situation would be any better?
Gaurav, from all the indicators that we are seeing on the ground at the moment, it seems that things will definitely be for the better. What I can make out very clearly is that what the BNP has succeeded in doing is taking out the passion from the streets, the unnecessary passion which had built up in the streets and was ruling the roost at this particular time. The very direction that there should be no celebration, there should be more prayer and things like that, shows that there is a semblance of greater sense and stability in the leadership which is emerging. Notwithstanding that, it's very, very early to say, but all the indicators in terms of political stability, in terms of outreach to India and the correct optics which are emerging from there, everything seems to be indicating something very, very positive developing. But it takes moments to upset this entire thing. And they need to go a little beyond to convince everyone. For example, in the last almost 18 months or so, the kind of relationship that Bangladesh has established with Pakistan, no problems about the relationship itself, but the kind of cooperation they have extended to the ISI. And that is kind of an indicator. We hope that these kind of things will be diluted in the near future. We look forward to ensuring that none of the red lines which used to be established between India and Bangladesh earlier in terms of security are crossed hereafter.
So let me get Major Muhammad Ashraf Zaman to weigh in on those red lines, and will there be a departure? So under Awami League and Sheikh Hasina, relationship with India was very good. These 18 months under Jamaat-e-Islami and Nobel laureate Professor Muhammad Yunus, Major Saab, the relationship just went downhill. Do you think there will be a change with Tarique Rahman at the helm of affairs, or will Muhammad Yunus continue to, and Jamaat-e-Islami continue to interfere and impact the foreign policy and relationship?
Thank you very much for having me on the program. I would like humbly request you to take out two terms, which is derogatory for Bangladeshis. One is hardline Jamaat Islam, and the other is a sort of imaginary ghost in the form of the insurgency or other issues related to your Northeast and ISI as well. So that would be quite soothing to discuss further. Number one. Number two, the new government is elected, and I don't buy with my compatriot, Mr. Mohibul Hasan, that without Awami League or even the former High Commission, I am on ground. The people went in large numbers. Even many expatriate Bangladeshis, they came to Bangladesh to vote. And for the information of the High Commissioner, I would like to inform her that in fact, last 17 years, there was no virtual election. In 2008 election, your former president, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, he was here, and he had influence on the election modalities. And the other one is all known Mrs. Sujata Singh, the former foreign secretary. So the election of Bangladesh...
Sir, just to be fair, you've had an entire election with a huge political party, the Awami League, banned from elections. So just how fair and inclusive were these elections is a debate, but we shall leave that debate for another time. I am just saying, let's talk about facts and the situation ahead. You say it's an imaginary ghost. I want to bring in Tara Kartha. Ma'am, you think it's an imaginary ghost? ISI's presence in Bangladesh, is that imaginary? Alpha terror or Ulfa terror impacting Assam, is that an imaginary ghost? And you're reading, Tara Kartha, of the Jamaat-e-Islami winning 68 seats on their own. I think 18 was their best in the past, 71 with the alliance. Should that be a red flag for India?
But I definitely will say that period of Ulfa and all that trouble we went through was certainly not imaginary. It was very, very real and something we had to contend with. Having said that, I would say that the present Tariq Rahman is coming with a clean slate. He's also had a very troubled past. His father died, now his mother's recently died. He is giving all the positive signals. For what reason? Two reasons. One is the Jamaat rise is a threat to their own party. That 68 is a very, very strong signal of a resurgent Jamaat. Nobody wants that. Number two is the liaison with the Awami. We expected that these two parties would try, because Jamaat is a problem for both of them. And number three is that the youth are thoroughly disillusioned. What they want now is they need action, and they want it fast. So Tariq Rahman, the poor man has got a huge expectation problem. Everybody is going to expect him to deliver now. So he needs stability. So I think that's a good way to go. Let Pakistan do what it wants. Let's try and not, bring Pakistan into this equation as far as we can.
And counter Pakistan ISI as best as we can in the current situation, considering Tariq Rahman also is seeking better relations with India as we are seeking with Bangladesh. But Ambassador Sikri, I want your response to something that's raised a red flag here. It's this resurgent Jamaat-e-Islami doing very well in the border belt from Satkhira to Rangpur, the belt facing Bengal and Assam. There are analysts who say there is a mobilization virtually of Islamist elements. They've acquired electoral legitimacy. There are experts who say that this strategic consolidation will impact India, and this requires sharper significance, acquires sharper significance. And I'm quoting some of the analysts who say that with elections approaching both in Assam and Bengal, there would be an impact of this. Your reading, Ambassador Sikri.
Well, I must say that Jamaat-e-Islami has always focused its activities on the western border with India, which is, as you said quite rightly, is the border with West Bengal, with Meghalaya and Assam. And I think this has always been a very sensitive point. Now, this time, they've acquired legitimacy through getting candidates elected in these areas. But otherwise, their focus of activity, their concentration of their party workers has always been in these areas. And even at one point during the campaign, there was a statement by a Jamaat-e-Islami representative saying, we are going to collect 5 lakh of our workers on the border with India, and we'll march them into India, etc. A lot of bravado and unnecessary dangerous statements made like that. But I think the thing to do is that India building good relations with Bangladesh, so the border guarding forces of Bangladesh and India have to cooperate. There's always an issue of border incidents and so on, but I think a lot of it is due to inadequate understanding and direct cooperation between the BSF on our side and the BGB guarding Bangladesh. And I think the more we focus on that, the more we can create standard operating procedures which will minimize any difference of opinion on the border. And we should focus on that because it's essential to have a calm border. And we also naturally are worried by things like, Muhammad Yunus showing an exaggerated border of Bangladesh, Muhammad Yunus calling the Chinese to go to Northeast India, Pakistan wanting to build that Lal Munir Hat Air Force base, new Air Force base. So all these flashpoints are there. We have to very quietly get them out of the way and make sure that...
So I want to talk about each and every one of these flashpoints, especially since Mohibul Hasan Chowdhury, former Education Minister of Bangladesh, also spoke of that referendum. Mr. Chowdhury, your reading of Nobel laureate Professor Muhammad Yunus, Does he remain as powerful? Will he be even more powerful post-referendum? Will his elements in, supporters in the administration let Tarique Rahman and his team function as effectively? Do you think there'll be a clash between the two?
See, we cannot be complicit. The point is, Yunus has been backing Jamaat-e-Islami during his entire 18 months tenure. Yes. And we cannot be complicit with this resurgence of Jamaat-e-Islami, at least in terms of constituency seats along the border area. And here I should mention to your audience that Ms. Veena Sikri was the ambassador in Dhaka when my father was the mayor of Chittagong. And during that time, 10 trucks full of arms and ammunition were recovered, which were destined for Ulfa rebels. And at that time, GOC Chittagong, who later on became the de facto ruler in Bangladesh, Moinu Ahmed, at the instruction of the then government led by BNP and Jamaat-e-Islami alliance, wanted to cover it up. But being a public servant at that time, he came out in public and exposed the fact that these ammunitions were destined for rebels in Northeast India. Now, at that time, of course, we are grateful to Ms. Veena Sikri. She played a very important role in my father's mayoral election at that time, when the government wanted to basically suppress the result and change the result, change the verdict of the people. But this is why we want to say that, of course, we want to hope with Mr. Tariq Rahman with this new mandate, but we cannot be complicit that Jamaat's continuous influence and ISI's influence. I mean, it's a fact that ISI's second man has visited Bangladesh. I mean, my Major Sahib here from Dhaka, he may not agree with me, but it is a public, it is in public record. Several military officials from Pakistan has visited Dhaka. We do not have any substantial or significant military or trade tie with Pakistan. We didn't have it for 15 years. But out of nowhere, why are the generals from Pakistan visiting Dhaka? There is absolutely no sense in that. This is what Mr. Yunus was trying to do. He wanted to agitate and wanted to create regional anarchy. And we hope that his chapter has come to an end. And the military,
a very important point you make.
And the intelligence community will work towards regional stability in Bangladesh.
And I want to get General Hasnain to respond to that. That's a very important point you make. But before I bring in General Hasnain, since you mentioned Major Ashrafuzzaman, you want to quickly respond that, Nobel laureate and a Nobel Prize for Peace, Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus was trying to agitate the region, bring in more ISI officers. There were open reports of Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists coming into Bangladesh, Hizb ut-Tahrir becoming stronger, Jamaat-e-Islami saying there'll be a radical, more radicalization in Bangladesh, and women should be sent indoors. All of that, sir, is in public domain, Major Saab.
Thank you very much. I appreciate Mr. Mohibul Hasan. The points he brought out is good for his political score, but not for Bangladesh's score. Let's have a differentiation between the personal or the party score and the country's score. Number one. Number two, you see, your national security advisor, he visited Bangladesh number of times. The US officials, they visit Bangladesh. So why not Pakistan? Because they're in the same region and the same country. So let's not be obsessed with these visits. Rather, Bangladesh is trying to realize its interest by diversifying its relation with different countries. Remember,
sir, just a word of caution. Pakistan is the kiss of death. We would not even wish Pakistan's, ties with any enemy. Bangladesh is a friend. Bangladesh is virtually family. Sir, do not wish this kiss of death. Pakistan is poison. But I will get General Hasnain to tell you soldier to soldier. perhaps you will understand that better. But trust me on this, we've burnt our fingers with that state sponsor of radical Islamist terror. We wish you well. Don't wish Pakistan was your friend. General Hasnain, your reading of ISI trying to spread its tentacles in Bangladesh once again, especially when Muhammad Yunus was there, can it still do so with Tarique Rahman?
See, Gaurav, there's no doubt about it. We've discussed this several times on your program before. I entirely endorse what Mohibul Chowdhury Sahab is saying. There is no doubt about it. Muhammad Yunus wanted to create a nuisance, a security nuisance for India, divert attention in all different directions. And that's the purpose why he probably invited the ISI to come and establish whatever it was doing at that time. This whole business of going to Lal Munir Hat, going to Chittagong and places like that. I will remind Major Saab, I'm a person who has dealt with infiltration all my life.
Yes.
Right? The moment you have awkward ideologies present on the borders, you will always facilitate this kind of infiltration. Borders are never complete obstacles to movement of human beings, movement of ideologies, or movement of weapons and equipment. So, the moment you find this kind of an ideology present on the western borders of Bangladesh with India, automatically we can assume that some kind of an intent will always be there. And Pakistan will try and exploit that in some manner or the other. I'm surprised that you all are talking about inviting Pakistan just because the India and the Indians have been coming to Bangladesh. We are direct neighbors. Pakistan is almost 1,500 kilometers away from you still. Yes. Our security matrix meets each other completely, matches each other. Pakistan doesn't have a role to play in Bangladesh as such. And as Gaurav just reminded you, you know
General,
the
may I have
history
a
of
point,
Bangladesh.
please?
Yeah, you have all the liberty to speak
Okay.
on any program
General,
in
we
India.
do respect
But I just
to your-
wanted to tell you this, that
Yes.
please be very, very careful with what you do with Pakistan.
Okay, Major Saab, before I bring in Tara Kartha, go on,
okay.
Major Saab.
Just, General, thank you very much. You have said your points. But you see, we as a country, Bangladesh as a country, we have our own calculus. Not that what you dictate or you expect.
Nobody's dictating.
Yes, sir.
That's a bogey.
Yes, sir.
Nobody's dictating, sir.
Sir.
It's just friendly advice. Lena hai, le lo. Nahi lena, you've burnt your fingers in the past. You'll burn it once again, sir.
Thank you. Let's let's look after our interest. Thank you.
Fair enough. Tara Kartha, your reading, because I also want to talk about the referendum and what this means for Professor Muhammad Yunus. But Tara Kartha, your understanding of all that is being said, will Tariq Rahman, because last time between 2001 and 6, they were with Jamaat-e-Islami. This time they fought against each other. But Jamaat-e-Islami with 68 seats or 71 as part of that 11-party alliance, will they breathe down BNP's neck, and would that reduce the elbow room for the BNP or for Tariq Rahman Saab to function?
Absolutely, they will. But before that, I just want to reiterate, slightly clarify what I said. I said, let's not talk about ISI in terms of Tariq Rahman. We can certainly talk of ISI in terms of Jamaat-e-Islami and what they're going to do next, because
Yes.
I cannot understand how they came from 11 seats to 68. There's a lot of money there. There's a lot of activity there. They're on your borders. And in some seats, Gaurav, including where Tariq Rahman won, the
Yes.
margin 4,000 votes.
Yes.
How did they come to this level? So that is what. But on the
Dhaka 17, I believe.
yeah, that's right. So there is and I'm shocked what this gentleman said. I mean, considering what the Pakistan army has done, genocide in their country. Anyway, that
Yes.
apart. So the referendum was backed 100% by the Jamaat-e-Islami. Why? Because it knows it will reduce the powers of the Prime Minister. It gives the President massive powers in terms of whom they will choose. The opposition parties get heads of these committees. So the whole Jamaat play has been amazing. They backed
That's the point I want to come to, and since you've raised it, let me for a moment tell our viewers what this referendum was all about. So everybody was focusing on elections. Awami League out, BNP versus Jamaat-e-Islami, that 11-party alliance. But along with the general election was also the referendum. Reforms drafted by caretaker government led by Nobel laureate Professor Muhammad Yunus. But are these actually reforms? Could they have done it? Are they an elected government to do it? Because more than 4.8 crore votes, and that's about 60%, 60.3% of total votes were cast in favor of sweeping constitutional reforms. Key proposals in this referendum, and I want you to take a look at this. It's called the July National Charter that talk about restructuring the current parliament into a bicameral legislature, introducing a 2-term limit for the Prime Minister, strengthening what they call as judicial independence, stronger checks on executive and safeguard to prevent parliamentary power consolidation. All of this sounds very nice. The devil lies in the detail. I once again want to bring in Ambassador Sikri. One, Muhammad Yunus was para-dropped into Bangladesh. Could there be a referendum minus the parliament? Is this constitutional, ma'am?
Absolutely not. There is no provision for the referendum in the Constitution of Bangladesh. So this is an entirely unconstitutional constitutional act. In fact, the very existence of the interim regime sworn in on the Constitution of Bangladesh, where there was no provision for an interim regime, even that was unconstitutional. And what they wanted was, they came in saying, we want 4 years of reforms, and after that we will think of elections. They wanted to entrench themselves. And we all know that thanks to this regime change operation, Jamaat-e-Islami has been the power behind the throne for the last 18 months. And then when they did not get what they wanted, and there were these elections, the political parties insisted on early elections, 12th of February, they created this July Charter, and the referendum has 84 questions in 4 subsections, and you have to vote yes or no on that. How can anybody vote just one yes or no on 84 questions at the same time? I think the referendum has got to be dropped into the bin now. There's no scope.
Will it be? Because the BNP was also opposing it, and Major Mohammad Ashraf Zaman, quickly, is this referendum even legal? BNP was opposing several aspects of this. Will they go ahead with it in your view? And would this actually mean that Muhammad Yunus then remains all-powerful, and there will be a clash between the president, between the interim government headed by Muhammad Yunus and Tariq Rahman?
Thank you very much. Actually, there was a referendum provision in the Constitution, but it was abolished under 15th Amendment back in 2013. So that is number one. Number two, the doctrine of necessity is very important and realistic approach to address. And that's what the government has done. And believe me,
just give me 20 seconds as we try and re-establish that audio link with you. We seem to be having a little issue with it. But Mohibul Hasan Chowdhury, your reading, sir. Okay, General Hasnain, do you think there will be some tension or friction between Muhammad Yunus? Would he want to stay in power, or will he ride into the sunset?
Frankly, Gaurav, what I've been hearing, what one is getting from the rumor mill, is that Muhammad Yunus is on his way back to the United States to settle back there. But you never know. I mean, ambitions at this stage in life can always change. The fact that on the electoral hustings, the BNP has scored so heavily should definitely work in favor of no constitutional changes, nothing of the past coming in, just the government of the day in Bangladesh now going ahead under the leadership of Tariq Rahman.
Okay, and Dr. Tarak, in your view, given what Tariq Rahman Saab and his party have just said, will minorities now be safer, or will Jamaat-e-Islami now go after them, given that they've got 68 seats, and they will say, you didn't vote for us, you voted for BNP, you're in alliance with the Awami League. They'll call it political, and they'll target Hindus and other minorities.
Unfortunately, Gaurav, I think that is a possibility. Probably not immediately. For some time, they will also have to sort of listen to the electorate who wants stability. But down the line, you can't rule this out. I mean, I would not put anything past some of them who have made the most outrageous statements against against Hindus, and they've done, I mean, I don't want to go into the details here. But point is, they are aiming for the future. Okay, with 62 now, their appetite is whetted. They are looking at the next election. So down the line, they're going to make trouble for Tariq Rahman. And the point of trouble will probably be the various aspects of the referendum. And like you said, the minorities, how women particularly should react. All that is going to come up down the line when they try to consolidate. So no, we have to be really, really careful now.
The last 30 seconds I have on this part of the show, women and youth, Ambassador Sikri, they actually may have just saved the day for themselves, for Bangladesh, and perhaps for the region. Ambassador Sikri.
Absolutely. The women have played the most dynamic part in ensuring the BNP's win. You know, the Jamaat-e-Islami leader made these horrendous statements just a few days before the elections, describing women in the most derogatory terms. And even his own party head of the women's wing said, oh, of course he's right, because, men are the managers of women. Now, the women of Bangladesh are very dynamic, very entrepreneurial, and fiercely independent. And hundreds and thousands of them have lost their jobs thanks to the mismanagement of the Bangladesh economy, thanks to Muhammad Yunus's efforts to disrupt the economic trade and investment ties with India. So many factories had to close down because they were not allowed to get the supplies on time, etc. Now, these women have voted with their feet. They have abandoned the Jamaat-e-Islami. They have come towards the BNP, and the BNP will be consciously wanting to retain their vote bank. And the BNP will constantly want, Tariq Rahman has campaigned so prominently with his wife and daughter that the women's message is very strong there. He will want to retain it. And I hope this will be the changing point for Bangladesh.
In fact, those images were really endearing with Tariq Rahman campaigning across the country. It was his young daughter who campaigned very extensively, both in Bogra 6 and in Dhaka 17. And over the next several days and weeks, we'll see how this relationship actually moves forward. I want to thank all my guests.